Hi there, and welcome to Octobyte. I'm Jordan, and today we're going to be doing kind of a shorter episode where we look at this old Apple external hard drive. So I got this hard drive a couple months ago with all of these G4 Macs and cinema displays that I have behind me here. It was going into e-waste and I rescued it. I just thought it looked really neat. I used to have a whole bunch of these old retro Mac computers around this vintage, either 6800s or PowerPCs. Unfortunately, a lot of them got sold before I moved out here to California. But I've always really liked the beige and rainbow Apple logo aesthetic, and just the computers are really neat. Classic Mac OS, and they're just a really neat alternative chronology to the x86 computers. So yeah, I really wanted to take a look at this guy and see if it works. So I hope you'll join me today. As Dave on the EEV blog says, don't turn it on, tear it apart. So before we go testing this guy, I'm gonna take it apart. I have a feeling that I know what's inside of here. It's probably a SATA hard drive connected almost directly to the SATA ports on the back, since the standard is identical. You don't need any sort of controller board, but who knows? Maybe there's some Apple magic in here. And either way, it'll be good to take it apart, make sure there's no blown caps or anything lurking deep within its bowels. So without further ado, let's tear this fellow apart, shall we? Before we do that, how about we take a look at the device itself? So, as you can see, we've got the front panel, which is pretty clean. It's got a power button and this clever little door that gives you the SCSI ID number selector, which is kind of a neat little design. Most of the old hard drives had a SCSI ID selector on the back, and it was just kind of in plain sight. So it's kind of cool that this one's on the front, easily accessible, but hidden behind this little plastic panel that luckily has not broken yet. On the back, you can see that we've just got the power connector and two SCSIs, so this allowed daisy chaining to other SCSI devices. I don't believe this requires external termination. I believe it does termination inside, so there's probably a little bit of intelligence inside of it. But yeah, and we got a little cooling fan right up here. So all in all, pretty simple device. Some ventilation holes on the top. And on the bottom, you can see that there's a warranty void sticker right here. I think that's a pretty good place to start. I'm not 100% sure how to take this apart, but I have a feeling that it's the warranty void sticker and then probably these two screws that are on the back of the device. So let's take the two screws out and then we can see what happens. So we got our screwdriver here. One screw. Whoops, it isn't. That one was a little tighter. Normally I would have a little bin for my screws, but since these appear to be identical and I only see two, I think we're in pretty good shape. This device is also a little bit dirty, so I'll probably end up cleaning it up afterwards. So I'm going to use the knife to carefully void this warranty sticker. Oh, you can barely tell. I don't think I'll have to worry about taking this in for a warranty. And then I notice on the top here, there is no little notches on this side, and there's notches on this side. So I have a feeling that the thing is going to kind of just slide apart, perhaps? Maybe the front panel comes off? Let's see. I wish I had a plastic spudger with me, but I unfortunately couldn't find any, so we're going to just try not to hurt the plastic. It does appear as though there's a separation line here. Yeah, the front panel doesn't seem to be holding anything on. And you can see on the back here, there's a fault line here. So I'm assuming this side comes off, and then this one is sealed together. So I'm assuming that it opens from this side. There might be some plastic tabs holding it together. This week on Octobytes, Jordan struggles to open up a old hard drive. Exciting content, right? Plastic definitely seems to be giving. Okay. Okay, and we're back. I did have to end up Googling a little bit. I found a site where somebody took one of these apart. Apparently these are a bit more rare than I had previously anticipated, and at least if the internet is anything to be believed. Funnily enough, the warranty void sticker is actually on the wrong side, so didn't actually need to break that at all. It was just the 2 screws and then pulling it apart from the side. So I've stopped mid teardown. According to the site that I was reading, this drive was not actually even made by Apple, according to rumors. It was actually made by LaCie, most likely, on behalf of Apple, which I thought was kind of interesting. And you can see that there's a little fan here, which is kind of dirty and dropping dust that fell off as I was starting to pry it apart. But yeah, anyway, this is the drive. We are open. We have cracked it open. You can see there's a lot of dirt and or possibly plastic. It looks like dirt. So inside of here, roughly what I was expecting, we've got a Quantum Fireball. These were very popular hard drives. I actually don't know if Quantum was associated with Apple, but I know that every Apple computer pretty much that I've ever opened was a Quantum drive. And here you can actually see that it also has a LaCie label on it as well. So it sounds like those rumors are confirmed. And this is a 6 gigabyte drive, so that's a pretty sizable drive actually. According to the couple of sources I found online, it looked like this was made around 1997, so later in the Apple timeline, but still clearly having the old Apple aesthetics. Overall, very much like what I was expecting. So we've got the SATA cable coming directly out to the back, and then we've got our power input coming out to a pretty beefy switching power supply. I will have to check to see if there's any caps blown, but looks good. And then we've got our little fan. And down here we've got our power button and the SATA ID right over here. So yeah, overall, pretty simple. Okay, so, got our fan there. Kind of forgot about that. So yeah, there's a lot of dirt and grime up in here, and I still have a can of canned air, so I might take this outside and spray it out just to make sure that none of this dust gets in my apartment any more than it already has. As far as the caps go, all of them look good. No bulging, and I don't see any signs of leakage. Well, I'm going to turn off the camera for a minute, go ahead and give the insides of this a nice blowout out on my porch, and then we can go about trying this drive out and see how it works now that I've torn it apart. So, be right back. And we're back. So I went ahead and I blew out both sides of this. There was a lot of dust, especially like up in here where the fan is. By the way, I did figure out where the little fan that fell out goes. It's the fan in the back, so it was pretty easy to route once I realized just what was going on. It was kind of scary having that fall and be all the way down here. So, but yeah, after blowing it out with a little bit of compressed air, I was able to get a lot of dust out of here, and it's looking a lot cleaner overall. Now, before I put it back together, I would like to rub the outside and get it clean. So I got a little bit of my generic off-brand Windex. I really love Windex for cleaning old computers. And got some paper towels, so let's just go ahead and give this a nice scrub down. Interestingly enough, there's little shields here. We can do it here. So there's actually dust traps on both of the inside vents. Not the one for the fan, but the two vent holes. Don't know if you can see that. I'll try. But both of them have little dust filters, which is kind of neat. Okay, I think this is pretty clean, so let's go ahead and stick it back together, shall we? So we've got this side here, which just kind of flips around and goes right down along this. So there's some little teeth here that you kind of have to work around, so you kind of got to do it from the top and the back here. There we go. And then the plastic just kind of goes together. Okay. Nothing broke. It just really wanted to let me know that it was going back together. And we screw in these last two screws. Times like this is when I really feel like I should invest in an overhead camera so y'all can see a little bit better what's going on from the top. Let me know down in the comments if you are interested in that. I'll look into how I can do that. There's a popcorn ceiling and a ceiling fan above me, so I need to have some sort of solution that mounts the kitchen table maybe and goes up over, but yeah, we'll have to figure that out. Anyway, so good as new. We've got our Apple external hard drive, and it's all clean relatively, and how about we see just how it works? So, how are we going to test it working? Well, I do have the Mac 512K in the background, which I think has a SCSI port on the back. It might not. But regardless, I actually would rather use another computer. So I mentioned that I used to have a bunch of these vintage Macs. One of them did make its way out here. It's one of the Macintosh Pizza Box Macs, and it happens to live in that chest right down there. So I think I'm going to break that out for y'all, and I plan on doing a separate video on that at some point in the future, probably recapping that board since it's never been done. But hopefully it is still working. It was the last time I turned it on, and we can use that to test this beautiful SCSI hard drive. So Let's do that. Okay, so we have a much more elaborate setup here than I originally... You know, you think about something, you're like, oh, I can do that, and then you actually see it in front of you, and you're like, what have I done? But yes, we now finally have a complete Mac setup. So, as I said, I plan on doing a more complete video on this computer right here. But for today, just to clarify a little bit, this is a Macintosh LC3 chassis with the motherboard of a Performa 475, which is the upgraded version. At one point in time, I had both an LC3 and a Performa 475. Unfortunately, the Performa 475's case broke apart, and there's no way to repair it. The plastic just gets brittle. And the motherboard in this computer failed rather catastrophically. There was just a lot of leakage when I got it, and so we did a transplant. You know, it seemed we got one good case and one good motherboard, so there we are. This keyboard's also kind of interesting. It's an Alps keyboard. Action Retro actually just did an interesting video on that a couple months ago, I think. I will link to it if I can find it again. But yeah, so this is an Alps keyboard, a little trackpad, little laptop trackpad. And then I do not have a Macintosh monitor any longer. Unfortunately, that was big and heavy, and the CRT just didn't make it out to California. So I've got this way bigger than needed flat panel monitor that I just happen to have lying around. It does not have a stand, so it's going to be laying here on the ground. And then we've got the MacDB like 15 connector to VGA adapter in the back. So how about I get you turned around so you can see this a little bit better, and we'll give this drive a shot. So pardon the weird camera angle. This is the best way I could get everything in shot. Hopefully you can see okay. So I'm going to go ahead and power on the hard drive. Hopefully nothing blows up. I need to turn on the power first to the whole the power strip down here. 1 second. Always something. There we go. And the hard drive is spinning right up because I had the button pressed in. And let's go ahead and flip on this computer, and also hopefully no blowing up. It is making a fair amount of noise, but that's not that uncommon in my experience with old quantum drives. Oh, that sound is coming from this computer. That is bad. This is kind of a unfortunate way to end this video. It seems like maybe I was out of this hobby for too long, and a lot of the computers that I've had over the years, this one I've had for well over a decade at this point. I picked up at a thrift store, and I used to spend a lot of time keeping these guys up and running and in working order, and it seems like this one in the last year or two since I turned it on last has failed in some way. Unfortunately, I don't have time to try to repair it or diagnose it right now. I have a feeling that it's probably the caps, which I was planning on resoldering anyway. I don't see any new damage. There was some existing damage from when I got it, and I thought that I had stopped that corrosion, and it never had any issues over the years, so I'm assuming that it's a new issue, and probably one of the caps has just gone bad, and hasn't leaked too badly, thank God, but will need to be replaced. So I'm going to have to end the video there, and one good thing is that horrible noise that I was like, oh, that's probably just the quantum drive. I've heard them sound worse than that, and I have, but it sounds like most of the noise was actually coming from the speaker, which was just grounded, it seems, probably, again, from one of the caps being bad. Anyway, all of that is to say, the hard drive itself, it does seem to turn on, get a green light, the drive spins up, it actually sounds pretty decent as far as a quantum drive goes. And you can even hear it starting to try to seek. I have a good feeling that this will work. I sadly don't have any other computer that I can test this with, though, at the moment. So I'm just going to have to turn this guy off and store it until I can get this computer working or another computer that I can test with. All of that is to say, it's been a really busy week. I was hoping for like a short, fun video for y'all, but sadly this one ended with disaster. But this too shall pass. We'll get this fixed up in a future video. And I just wanted to thank everybody for watching, and I hope you have a great weekend. So, peace.